In the distant future, humanity had taken its first steps beyond Earth, exploring and colonizing planets across the galaxy. Humans had always been known for their resilience and adaptability, but they had never imagined that their greatest challenge would come from an alien species, unlike anything they had encountered before. The story begins on a small, dusty outpost located at the edge of the galaxy, where the protagonist, a skilled diplomat named Ethan, had been sent to establish peaceful relations with the Vryn, a mysterious and powerful alien race. The Vryn were unlike any species humanity had ever met. Their appearance was striking, tall with sleek dark skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. But what made them even more intimidating was their reputation. The Vryn were not only technologically advanced, but they were also vampiric in nature, requiring the blood of other creatures to sustain their energy. Ethan had spent years studying alien species, learning their cultures and understanding their needs. However, he had never prepared for the intensity of the Vryn, especially not for their leader, Virakan. Virakan was a diplomat too, but she was far more than just a negotiator. She was the embodiment of Vryn power, intelligent, cold, and unnervingly beautiful. Stories about her spread across the galaxy, describing her as a ruthless leader who had never once shown weakness. Despite this, she was known for her skill in diplomacy, making her the perfect representative for her people. Ethan entered the grand meeting hall on the Vryn homeworld with a sense of awe. The walls of the hall were adorned with intricate alien symbols that glowed softly in the dim light. At the center of the room stood Virakan, waiting for him. She was taller than any human, with long, dark hair that cascaded down her back, and her eyes, golden like molten metal, studied Ethan with an intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. He tried not to let his nerves show as he approached her, extending his hand in greeting. "It's an honor to meet you, Virakan. I'm here to discuss the future of our peoples." Her lips curved into a faint smile, but her eyes never left his. "The honor is mine, human," she replied, her voice smooth but with a certain edge to it. "I trust you're prepared for what's to come." Ethan nodded, although he had no idea what she meant. The Vryn had been unpredictable, their motives unclear. The human delegation had been cautious, knowing that one wrong move could lead to disaster. But nothing could have prepared him for the overwhelming presence of Virakan. As they sat down to begin the talks, Ethan couldn't help but notice the strange way Virakan was watching him. Her gaze was focused, unwavering. It was as though she were studying him, peeling away his layers to uncover something hidden deep within. At first, the conversation was professional. They discussed trade agreements, territorial disputes, and the possibility of future cooperation. But as the minutes passed, Ethan began to feel something shift in the room. There was a tension in the air, an electricity he couldn't ignore. Virakan leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing as she studied him more closely. "You humans, you are fascinating," she said, her voice softer now, almost seductive. "There's something about you, something different." Ethan didn't understand what she meant, but he could feel his heart rate increase under her gaze. He shifted in his seat uncomfortably, but Virakan's gaze never wavered. Her lips parted slightly, and for a moment Ethan thought he saw something flash in her eyes. A hunger. Before he could say anything, Virakan stood up, walking toward him with slow, deliberate steps. Ethan felt his throat go dry. He knew he had to stay calm, but the closer she came, the harder it became to focus on the task at hand. When she was just a few feet away, she paused and took a deep breath, her nostrils flaring slightly. Her eyes flickered down to his neck, and Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. "You smell different," she murmured almost to herself. "Your blood. It's intoxicating." Ethan froze. The words didn't make sense. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice betraying a hint of confusion. Virakan's gaze softened for a moment, but the hunger was still there, just beneath the surface. "I've met many humans," she said, her voice almost playful now, "but I've never encountered one like you." Ethan took a step back, his mind racing. He had heard rumors about the Vryn's thirst for blood, but he had never expected to feel it so personally. He wasn't sure if he was more terrified of the idea that she might actually want to drink his blood, or the fact that she was enjoying this power over him. Trying to regain his composure, he cleared his throat. "I'm here to discuss peace, not whatever this is." Virakan's smile returned, but it was colder now, more calculating. Peace, she repeated softly as if savoring the word. Perhaps you should be careful what you wish for, human. You don't know what you're dealing with. Ethan swallowed hard. It was clear now that Virakan was not just interested in negotiating. She was fascinated by him. Something about him had sparked her curiosity, and he had no idea how to stop it from consuming her. The tension between them grew thick, and Ethan realized that this meeting was quickly slipping out of his control. He had expected to discuss treaties and peace agreements, but now he was caught in a dangerous game he hadn't been prepared for. The alien diplomat before him was not interested in mere words. She wanted something far more primal, and Ethan's blood seemed to be the key. As the conversation continued, Ethan could sense Virakan's control slipping. She was no longer entirely focused on the peace talks. Her attention was fixated on him, on the scent of his blood, on the way his heart raced when she was near. It was clear that for Virakan, this encounter was no longer just about diplomacy. She was intrigued, and when an alien vampire becomes intrigued, there's no telling what lengths they might go to satisfy their curiosity. Finally, Virakan stepped back, a satisfied look on her face. Perhaps we should continue this discussion later, human. There is much we can learn from each other. Ethan's mind was spinning. What had just happened? Had he just narrowly avoided a fate he couldn't even comprehend? As Virakan turned and walked away, her gaze lingered on him one last time, leaving him with an unsettling feeling. He had come to negotiate peace, but now he was tangled in something much more dangerous, and Virakan wasn't done with him yet. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The conversation with Virakan had shifted from professional diplomacy to something far more personal, and now, as the night grew darker, he could still feel the tension hanging in the air. Virakan's words echoed in his mind. Your blood. It smells intoxicating. After the unsettling encounter in the meeting hall, Ethan spent the next few days attempting to resume his duties. He met with other Vryn officials, but his mind kept returning to Virakan. He couldn't stop thinking about the way she had looked at him, the strange mix of fascination and hunger in her golden eyes. It was clear that she wasn't just another diplomat. There was something far more dangerous lurking beneath her composed exterior. Ethan's mission was simple: negotiate peace, ensure trade agreements, and prevent war. Yet nothing in his training had prepared him for a situation like this. How could he possibly negotiate with an alien species who might not even be interested in peace? What if they had other plans? He had to find out more, not just for humanity, but for his own safety. But every time he tried to focus on the mission, he found himself distracted by thoughts of Virakan. Then one evening, as Ethan was walking through the halls of the Vryn embassy, a familiar presence stopped him in his tracks. Virakan, she appeared from the shadows, her long dark hair flowing around her like a cloak. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a moment Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what to expect, but he knew it wasn't going to be anything like the previous meeting. You've been avoiding me, she said softly, her voice both melodic and dangerous. Why is that, human? Ethan swallowed hard, trying to remain calm. I'm here for the peace talks, not whatever this is. He gestured between them, struggling to hide the confusion in his voice. Virakan smiled, the edges of her lips curling up in an almost predatory way. Do you really think this is just about peace, Ethan? You smell it too, don't you? The tension between us. You feel it, don't you? Ethan felt his breath hitch as she stepped closer. There was no denying it now. The air between them was thick with something he couldn't quite name, an attraction that felt dangerous and powerful. I don't know what you're talking about, he said, trying to sound composed, but it came out more like a whisper. His heart raced, his palms sweaty. He was struggling to control his thoughts, to keep them from drifting toward the temptation that Virakan was offering. Virakan stopped just inches away from him. She inhaled deeply as though savoring his scent. You're lying, she said softly. You know what I'm talking about. I can feel your heart racing. Your blood. It drives me crazy. Ethan's mind raced as he tried to process what she was saying. He had heard rumors, of course, about the Vryn and their thirst for blood, but he never thought he would be the one caught in their web. He had to stay strong. He had to remember why he was here, to prevent a war, to secure peace. But Virakan's presence was overwhelming, and the pull she exerted on him was unlike anything he had ever felt before. I came here to represent humanity, Ethan said, his voice shaky, to ensure that peace is maintained. And peace will be achieved, Virakan replied, her voice low and soothing. But first you must understand something, Ethan. My people are dying. We need your blood to survive. Not just your blood, but the blood of humans like you. Ethan froze, his body tensing as the weight of her words hit him. What do you mean? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Virakan stepped back, her golden eyes gleaming in the dim light. The Vryn were once a mighty species, but now we are fading. Our strength is waning. We need the blood of humans, a rare chemical that exists in your bloodstream, to restore our vitality. Without it, we will cease to exist. Ethan's stomach churned. He hadn't expected this. The peace talks were supposed to be about trade, not about being used as a source of sustenance for an alien race. But as he looked at Virakan, he saw something else in her eyes. Something deeper, something that spoke of desperation. You want my blood? Ethan asked, his voice faltering. Virakan's gaze softened for a moment, and she placed a hand gently on his chest. Not just your blood, Ethan, I want you. I've never encountered a human like you. Your blood calls to me in ways I cannot explain. Ethan felt his heart race as Virakan's hand lingered on him, her touch both gentle and powerful. He could feel the heat of her skin through his shirt, and his breath became shallow. Despite the danger, despite everything he knew about the Vryn, he couldn't deny the strange pull he felt toward her. I don't know what to do, he confessed, his voice barely audible. I didn't come here for this. Virakan smiled again, her eyes flickering with a mixture of sadness and something darker. You don't have to do anything, Ethan. You already are. You're already mine. Before Ethan could respond, Virakan leaned in closer, her breath hot against his ear. But if you want to survive, if you want to help both our people, you'll have to make a choice. Help us, and we will share our power with you. Refuse, and I will not be so kind. Ethan stepped back, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and fear. How could he trust her? How could he trust a species that saw humans as little more than a source of food? But at the same time, he couldn't ignore the strange connection he felt with her. It was as though their fates were somehow intertwined. I'll never be your prey, Ethan said, his voice firm despite the turmoil inside him. I didn't come here to be used. Virakan tilted her head, her eyes studying him with a mixture of respect and disappointment. Then you've already made your choice, human. Ethan didn't know what to expect next, but he was certain of one thing. The peace talks were no longer just about diplomacy. They were about survival, about understanding a power that he could barely comprehend. As Virakan turned to leave, she glanced back over her shoulder, her voice soft, but filled with promise. We will meet again, Ethan. And when we do, we'll see if your choice has truly been made. Ethan stood there, frozen, his heart pounding in his chest. He had come to broker peace, but now he found himself caught in a dangerous game of power, temptation, and survival, and he had no idea how to navigate it.